Many people today are confused and curious about the real identity of the Palestinians. Who exactly are they, and where do their roots truly lie? On our channel, it's our tradition to dive deep into such questions through our special series called The Origins of Peoples According to the Bible. In this series, we don't just look at biblical texts, we also explore history, genetics, and languages to give you a comprehensive view. Because of your numerous requests and the importance of this topic, we're creating a special episode dedicated entirely to uncovering the origins of the Palestinian people. A key question we'll explore is whether Palestinians today are actually descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son. In Genesis chapter 16, verses 10 to 12, the Bible records, "The angel of the Lord said, 'I will greatly increase your descendants, they will be too many to count.' The angel continued, 'You are now pregnant and will soon give birth to a son. Name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard your suffering. He will be like a wild donkey. He will fight everyone, and everyone will fight him. He will live in hostility towards all his brothers.'" Today, many use this scripture as evidence to claim that modern Palestinians are direct descendants of Ishmael. Some even suggest this ancestral connection explains the ongoing conflict in the Gaza region. However, it is crucial to question whether this claim truly mirrors the reality of the situation. The ethnic background of the Palestinians is much more varied than many might think. Indeed, the Palestinian people boast a diverse heritage that includes not only their Arab roots and the predominant Islamic faith, but also a notable genetic Jewish heritage from ancient Jews who converted to Islam during the 6th and 7th centuries. The ethnic origins of Palestinians, who form a national group in the southern Levant, have been extensively studied, examining both linguistic and genetic aspects. Moreover, nationalist ideologies have led to numerous myths about this population. It's important to recognize that the Palestinian demographic is not uniform. Although predominantly Arab and Muslim, it includes a wide range of religious practices, languages, cultures, and even ethnic groups. The demographic history of Palestine is intricate, shaped by a series of historical events, migrations, and the influence of various imperial powers throughout the centuries. Wars, uprisings, and religious shifts have also been pivotal in shaping the demographic landscape, influencing patterns of migration and conversion. With the Muslim conquest of the Levant in the 7th century, the region began its transition through Arabization and Islamization, largely due to local conversions and assimilation, along with the influx of Muslims. These elements contributed to the emergence of an Arab-Muslim demographic, albeit smaller in number compared to the region's population at the end of antiquity. From the Middle Ages until the early 20th century, this Arab-Muslim group became the predominant religious community in the area. Many Palestinian villages and notable families trace their lineage back to their clans, known as Hamula. These clans, often composed of Arab nomadic tribes from the Arabian Peninsula, settled in the region before or after the Islamic conquest. A small segment of Palestinian families also preserve oral traditions, linking them back to their Jewish and Samaritan origins. Efforts to forge a Palestinian national identity and strengthen national consciousness as the primary identity over other prevalent identities, such as clan-based, local, tribal, and Islamic identities, have significantly influenced Palestine's internal history as we explore the complex demographic evolution of the region. It's clear that the history of this region has been shaped by various historical events and migrations over the centuries. During the Bronze Age, the area was predominantly inhabited by the Canaanites, a Phoenician-speaking people. By the early Iron Age, the Israelites, distinct in their ethnic and religious identity, had emerged. Unlike the Canaanites, who were indigenous to the region, the Israelites, also known as Hebrews, had Semitic origins and established the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. These kingdoms eventually fell to the Assyrians and Babylonians, leading to the exile of many to the east. Later, the region came under the control of the Achaemenid and Seleucid empires during classical antiquity. Jews became the majority population in Palestine and briefly enjoyed independence under the Hasmonean dynasty before the region was absorbed into the Roman Empire. The Jewish-Roman Wars, particularly the Bar Kokhba revolt, led to significant Jewish casualties, displacement and enslavement, drastically reducing their numbers in Judea. Over subsequent centuries, the region saw political instability and economic difficulties. Many converted to Christianity, which became the dominant religion under Byzantine rule, facilitated by Christian migration and the migration of Jews out of the region. This period also saw other conflicts, like the Samaritan uprisings. In the 7th century, Arab conquerors who had embraced Islam took over the Levant. For centuries afterward, various Arabic-speaking Muslim dynasties, including the Umayyads, Abbasids and Fatimids, ruled the area. During these periods, the population of Palestine significantly decreased, from about 1 million during Roman and Byzantine times to roughly 300,000 by the start of the Ottoman period. Over time, many locals converted to Islam, adopted Arab culture, and began speaking Arabic. It is believed that Arab colonization, both before and after the Muslim conquest, accelerated the Islamization of the region. A notable portion of the population in the Nablus area of Palestine descends from Samaritans who converted to Islam. Samaritans themselves were descendants of some Israelite tribes and had Assyrian origins, with Assyrians also being a Semitic people. It remains a topic of debate among scholars whether the widespread conversion to Islam in Palestine occurred before or after the Crusades. Some experts suggest that the region was already predominantly Muslim by the time the Crusaders arrived. On the other hand, some argue that the widespread adoption of Islam occurred much later, possibly during the Mamluk period. This era in history is defined by the rule of a dynasty of military leaders known as the Mamluks, who were originally slave soldiers but rose to power in various regions of the Islamic world, most notably in Egypt and Syria. From the 13th to the 19th centuries, the Mamluk period saw different dynasties in various parts of the Islamic world, but the most renowned and enduring was the Mamluk Sultanate in Egypt, established in the 13th century. The Mamluks formed their own government in Egypt, and one of their most notable leaders was Saladin, who recaptured Jerusalem from the Crusaders in 1187 and founded a dynasty that lasted for centuries. Mamluk rule in Egypt ended in 1517, when the Ottoman Empire, under Sultan Selim I, conquered Egypt. The Mamluks were incorporated into the Ottoman system, retaining some local autonomy. The demographic history of Palestine has been influenced by multiple migrations. This includes Egyptian migration during the reigns of Muhammad Ali and Ibrahim Pasha, as well as the influx of Algerians after the Abu Qed revolt in the first half of the 18th and 19th centuries. The latter half of the 19th century saw migrations of European peoples to Palestine, including Slavic Bosnians and Circassians. During the 17th century, Palestine's population dwindled, stabilizing between 150,000 and 250,000 during Ottoman rule. Focusing on Palestinian origins, while today's Palestinian culture is predominantly Arab and Islamic, many Palestinians also identify with the various civilizations that have historically inhabited the region. During Ottoman times, Palestinians considered themselves descendants not only of 7th century Arab conquerors, but also of indigenous peoples who have lived in the region since ancient times. According to Palestinian anthropological studies, a diverse array of peoples have settled in the Palestine region throughout history, regarding it as their homeland. Initially, this included the Canaanites, followed by the Philistines, and later the Israelites, Hebrews, and Arabs descended from Esau, brother of Jacob. Additionally, the Nans, descendants of Ishmael's son Neith, the Aramins from Aram Romans, and Midianite Arabs also settled in the region. This mix of peoples has contributed to the rich cultural and ethnic heritage of Palestine over the centuries. Despite some internet theorists claiming that today's Palestinians are exclusively descendants of Ishmael, the truth is that their heritage is far more varied, encompassing Jewish, Edomite, Aramin, Canaanite, and Philistine roots. These groups have intermixed over time, creating a complex tapestry of ancestry. It is clear that the Palestinian people primarily have Semitic origins, which is evident in both their physical features and genetic makeup. This includes both Palestinian Arabs and Jews, as Semitic ancestry is prevalent among them. Recent genetic research has indicated that, in terms of paternal lineage, Jews and Palestinians share close genetic links. Studies focusing on Jewish populations have demonstrated that Jews and Palestinians are genetically closer to each other than to Jews from other parts of the world. Specifically, a 2010 study by Behar et al., titled The Genomic Structure of the Jewish People, found that the distribution of the Y chromosome was remarkably similar between Arabs and Jews. This research showed that genetically tested Palestinians were closely related to Jordanian Bedouins and Saudi Arabs, suggesting a common origin in the Arabian Peninsula. In the same year, a study led by Harry Ostra concluded that Palestinians, Bedouins, Druze, and some Jewish groups from southern Europe shared genetic similarities. This closeness among some Jewish populations and European groups is due to historical mixing between Jews and various European ethnic groups, like the Ashkenazi Jews, who have ancestry including Germans among others. This intermingling over the centuries has led to the genetic similarities observed today. Historical texts have long stated that Arabs and Jews are not distant relatives but brothers, and modern genetic studies reinforce this notion. Interestingly, a DNA study by Nebel discovered significant genetic overlap among Arabs, Israeli Jews, and Palestinians. Nebel suggested that many, or perhaps most, Muslim Palestinians may descend from local inhabitants, primarily Jews, who converted following the Islamic conquest in the 7th century. This means that today's Palestinians possess a diverse ancestry, including Jewish, Aramean, Ishmaelites from the Nebat tribe, descendants of Esau, as well as Canaanites and Philistines. This genetic diversity mirrors the complex historical tapestry of the region. Many people are curious about the events in the Middle East and their connection to biblical prophecies, particularly those concerning Gog and Magog. In our next video, we will delve into these recent events and discuss whether the prophetic times of Gog and Magog are drawing near. We invite you to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming discussions. See you soon!